Okay guys, back with you here, day 3, and again let's get this final clamp off here. This is the area that I spent a lot of time on down here at the bottom, trying to get this veneer to lay flat. So I think we're in fairly good shape here. I'll try to hold that so you guys can see it on the camera as well. Rub my fingers across it there, I can feel where it's you know, a little uneven, but no big deal. Again, with the age of the radio, it's not going to be perfect. We'll do some sanding again. The veneer itself's rather thick, so there'll be some forgiveness there. I think we can smooth some of that out. Anyway, after numerous clamping locations and really a lot of time for the glue to dry, I think we're in pretty good shape. Again, you can see the back piece that I was talking about. It's not perfectly flat. This piece here kind of slants down, but adds some character to the radio. Not worried about that at all, but at least it's back together and it won't fall apart now. Okay folks, a look at the cabinet now after stripping with some lacquer thinner, and I was able to use just a small amount of lacquer thinner and get this finish off with some steel wool and not raise these areas that I had glued down the previous day. So so far so good. Again, I'll continue to watch these and make sure they don't lift. If so, we'll apply some more glue, let things set up before we put the final finish on. Anyway, this area down here where I was able to kind of work out, it feels like a speed bump right now. So I'll try to sand it out best I can, and we'll fill in those areas just a little bit with some green filler. This area looks good. Got a little bit of glue that leaked through in this area. I'll try to sand out a little bit here as well that I missed on my cleanup, and that may have already been there originally, who knows. But that's probably some of my leftovers. Side looks great. Again, I talked about my strategy here. For these areas, this quarter round, I'm going to try to just fill those in, use a graining marker, make that look like a real piece of quarter round. Top looks good, a few dark places here. Substrate, again, not in bad shape. Quarter round right here gets a little high in this area, so don't think the veneer will be quite flush on this side, but anyway, it is what it is. This side looks almost perfect. So very little sanding. Cool to have such a little small iconic cabinet, and easy to work with versus the larger cabinets as far as stripping to finish and then sanding and prep. At least a little break from some of the larger, like the Zenith 5S29 and that Garage that I just finished. Anyway, let's get started with the veneer pieces here on this side and this side, and I'll go ahead and show those as well. Had some interest from a couple of my subscribers want to see the full details, so I'll try to at least do one side here and document the process. It's kind of funny how things work out. Again, I was looking at some of my scrap pieces of veneer and looking for a good match to the existing hue of the cabinet itself. One thing I did notice, this side here, when I stripped it, it's lighter than this side. So I don't know if that's been stained at one time or not, but I scrubbed the heck out of it, and again, I just noticed it's got just a little bit more color. Here's the funny part. Here's the piece of veneer I was working with, and I'd put some of that walnut colonial maple, and again, this was a dye-based lacquer, and check this out. So again, that was just kind of a misty coat that I put on. So I think I'm going to just use this piece of scrap right here, and I think it'll serve my purposes for both. And this darker side, since it's already darker on this side, I'll probably cut it and use this section here over here, then just place the other section here. That the grain is perfect as well, because you can see it's the way the grain's running, top to bottom, bottom to top. So this will be perfect, I think. Let me go ahead and do a little trimming here and square this up to get the grain lines more running the correct way. Okay, I'm going to just trim a little bit off this side right here. And again, I'm just doing that to try to get the grain to run as much north to south as possible here, or south to north. So this doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want a lot of waste, and again, I'm just eyeballing this. So again, use my straight edge here, the X-Acto knife. So I think that's close enough here. We'll see how this lines up here. That's pretty close. Alright, let me trim up this front piece here as well. Square it up. Okay, cutting across the grain like this, I really need a sharp blade in the X-Acto knife, and this one's a little dull, and I don't have a replacement right now for this particular one, so I'm just using very light, consistent strokes here, just to try to cut through without splintering the veneer. I do have a pack of razor blades here. I may actually just pull them out in just a minute and use those instead. Okay, there we go. So I think I've got this piece square here. Let's check it here and see how well it fits. Okay, looks like it's a great fit here to the back. I'm going to just try to measure precisely here, and I'll go ahead and cut this to the desired length and width, and I'll go ahead and do that off camera. We'll come back and do a dry fit and see if I've got it close here. Okay, this veneer right here on the front side is comes up just above the flat surface. I know it's not showing up. You can see I can actually bump this piece of veneer off of it. So what I did was actually cut this maybe 1.5 millimeters or so long, and I've measured the other side itself. So I think I made the cut around 135 millimeters in length. So I'm going to leave it that way when we glue it down, and then I'll make sure again I can get this flush here. It's nice and a good fit here back to the cabinet on this top piece, and let me just get the width here figured out, and then I'll sand this piece off on the rear flush after the glue dries. Okay, since I said I want to build up this side right here and kind of recreate this piece of quarter round with some wood filler, all I'm going to do is just measure here, and again I'm going to make my veneer pretty much come to this line right here, maybe with just a slight overlap where I can do some sanding if necessary and not sand through the veneer. Okay, you can see here I'm going to just reference a couple measurement points here. Do this, and I'll go ahead and cut this piece. We'll lay it down again, do another dry fit, then we'll move along to the other side. Alright, let's see how this fits. That looks perfect. Again, because I'm going to build up this channel here, and I went maybe a 0.5 millimeter or less overlap from the channel here. That's pretty close. Alright, with this side done, let me go ahead and repeat the process over here. Okay, with the other side cut here, again doing another dry fit, and it's really exactly what I'm looking for. I've got just a bit of overlap here with the quarter round, nice and flush here along this side, and again I'm protruding out about 1.5 millimeters or so off the rear, which will sand down. And again, after I clamp this, what I'll do is after the glue dries, I'll go back in and just sand this flush with the quarter round so the two actually blend together. So I think that's ideal. Alright, time for a quick break here, and I'm going to get the hide glue out. But well, I'm going to check the substrate again just to make sure, maybe sand it just a bit. Again, I'll do that off camera if it needs a little bit more prep. Get some hide glue on these pieces, we'll get them clamped down, and we should be good to go with the veneer work. I wish they were all this simple. One other quick tip, I can't tell you how many times I've cut a piece of veneer and I just throw it down here on the top of the work area, and maybe I do the same for the other piece, and I start looking around and what's the orientation, how to do the cut. So just mark your pieces again, right, front, and again you can see I marked on the back, and I had already applied the toner lacquer to this when I was doing some experimenting. So again, you can see how in my eyes it's a fairly good close match here to start out with. And this one's marked as well, of course, front, left. So let me go ahead and get that substrate checked out here, make sure we're good to go with some glue. Okay, I'll go ahead and get started. Again, I'm going to use the hide glue that I glued the cabinet itself with, just a cheap painter's brush here, and cut back just a bit, and I'm going to just put some of the hide glue here on the substrate, and put a small light coat as well on the back side of the veneer. We'll place it on, and again, I'll just kind of work it here with my fingers, make sure it feels good. We got a nice fit, then we'll clamp it here in just a bit. Again, as I mentioned in my previous videos, I don't have to be in a big hurry here to clamp this. I got some extended work time, so the clamping will be the final thing that I do. I'll go ahead and do this side and this side, and I would still have extra time. So that's the beauty of using this product. Plus, again, I can go back and remove it if I need to in the future. Yeah, as I was getting ready to apply the glue, I thought about it. Let me just go ahead and put a piece of painter's tape down over the quarter round itself, and when I put the glue on, I can just come right up to this line, and it'll just save some time here on the cleanup. Just to make my cleanup just a little bit easier, down in this little channel here, groove, that I'll again build up with some wood filler, piece of painter's tape again, just when I apply the glue, then I'll remove it before applying the veneer. Okay, I've got both pieces on. All I'm doing is just a little bit of glue cleanup. Double check everything here, then we'll get the clamps on. I may get just a little more aggressive here and put a little more glue here. This piece of veneer, maybe I got a little bit of water on it here. It's just wanting to lift, so just want to make sure that I've got really good contact here, where that quarter round comes back with this, and then I'll clamp it down. I think we'll be good after everything sets up. Okay, again, I've just got some wax paper here, and I'll be laying that over the top of this area, and I've got again a piece of wood here that's wide enough to cover the entire area here that I want to apply pressure on. So let me go ahead and do this for this side, and I'll go grab some scraps here that I can do the same here for the other side. Okay guys, after about 2 hours or so, I took the clamps off just to make sure that the veneer was forming correctly, and I didn't create any issues when I actually did the clamping. So everything's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and again, I cleaned the glue off, and you can see the great match, or what I think is a great match, with the veneer matches the that top piece. So those colors are very, very close. So just a few misty coats of toner, and I think we'll be good on this radio. Again, that base down here at the bottom will do it, probably in a perfect brown. More of a pigment based, but aside from that, it should be pretty straightforward. So let me get some more wax paper on here, get some clamps back in place. We'll let this thing again set up for 24 hours, and then I'll get everything trimmed up. We'll do some sanding on the cabinet and get it ready for the toner lacquers. So folks, thanks for joining here on the re-veneering of the top sections on the little Peter Pan radio from 1933.